Name is Ifiemi Andrew. As we prepare for the implementation of a new tax law next year, a few things that many people need to know. That's what we will be discussing. How much do you know about the tax law is a very, very important question. We have some adjustments that were made, and it was signed into law by the president. And today on the show, we'll be discussing with a very special guest. He is the National President, Association of Senior Staff of Banks, Insurance, and Financial Institutions. We're trying to look at how well this new tax law can be implemented, how it's going to affect banks, and in turn, even those who use the banks, and basically trying to understand who is going to be favored by this and who might not be favored by this. Please, let's make welcome Mr. Olusoji Oluwole. Sir, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and how are you today? Good
Well,
morning, our listeners.
thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure you've been doing fantastic. It's been a while since we had you on the show.
Yes, I'm happy to be with you again today.
All right, let's start with the, should I say, good news, which is, well, the new tax laws. There's been talks about trying to widen the tax net, adjust our tax laws. The wealthy are the ones that should get more taxed. Low-income earners, middle class shouldn't be suffering that much. Double taxation has been a problem. I mean, the list is endless. So how do you feel about this new tax law that we would experience from next year?
Yeah, thank you very much. In my own opinion, I feel it's something that has been overdue. The review had been clamored for, and eventually it is here. Now, can we say that what has been enacted is perfect? Far from it, I cannot say for sure that it is perfect, but it is the start of a good thing, and I'm sure will continue to be subject to reviews. As has been announced, so there are quite a number of things, some old, some new, that have been brought together, and we expect the implementation from January 2026. And like we have been told, the implementation will be in phases. So it's not as if everything in that act is what is going to be implemented immediately. I want to believe that the government and the relevant authorities will actually look at the situation on ground, the way the economy is, the impact on people, the impact on businesses, and of course the impact on direct foreign investments that may be coming in, to guide them on how they will implement. But all in all, I think it's a good thing for our country right now.
Just to follow up on what you said it's not near perfect, but it's a good start. What parts of this reform would you look at and say, well, it's questionable and could have been done better?
Well, this is subject to various interpretations. So I cannot particularly say that whatever I see is going to be the same as what the next person says, because everybody is going to look at it from their own perspectives, depending on the impact on them. Some will be excited because they are likely to receive some reliefs on one part, and some may not be so happy because they found that they are going to have to pay more, or pay what they have been initially avoiding, or taxes that they have evaded. So there are different perspectives to it. But if we have to look at it generally, we need to look at some areas where I feel that there may be challenges. It's a very simple one. For example, there is a part of it that says that once all this thing comes into effect from a certain date, every account holder in Nigeria must have a tax identification number. Now, the question is, have we even perfected the process of getting tax ID numbers? we've come a long way. We went from getting BVN. We knew the challenges we had in getting BVN, and some of those challenges still exist today, especially for people in the diaspora. Then we moved on to national ID number. We know the challenges that came with that. Now we are coming with TIN. We don't know what is going to come next again. So these are the kind of imperfections I'm talking about here. That has it been critically looked into to ensure that the penalty or what is required by financial institutions to put in place to enforce that thing is such that will not begin to disrupt the livelihood and lives of people or their businesses. So I'm just giving that as an example.
Talking about livelihood, for banks, what does this mean? Because there are some adjustments made to corporate taxes as well for businesses and so on. How does this new reform, how is it going to affect banks? Is there any impact it would have on banks and other financial institutions?
Well, when we are singling out banks and financial institutions, I think we need to look at the business environment in its entirety. From my understanding of that tax of the tax law, there are certain businesses that are earning certain values, from a certain band upwards, that are going to be paying more, clearly. But then we also need to look at it from another angle, that when you look at what is happening on the lower side as well, it could also mean bigger businesses for those institutions. So we are talking of increased profit. Yes, we are talking of increased taxes. So on a net value, it may actually portend to be more positive for them. Especially, we are looking at a regime that is now looking at ensuring that there is no business that does not go through banks. We about a decade or more ago, the country had started the implementation of financial inclusion, making people open bank accounts and all the rest. But we also know that our economy was heavily based on cash. But all these things are those gaps are beginning to be closed. So it means that we have more money moving into banks and being circulated through banks rather than the circulation through cash. And so when those businesses are coming in, it also means that the banks will be getting more money. In the introduction, you mentioned things about multiple taxes and all the rest of it. It can also be seen as a plus for these institutions. So you look at a bank located in a certain situation, and I'll use your own environment as an example because I had the opportunity of working there for a couple of months, where you had to deal with state, you had to deal with local government, you had to deal with community, you have to deal with several things that at the end of the day, practically everything you were making was being paid out to all these bodies. So it also means that there is some level of efficiency in the terms of tax collection. So while you may see some documented increases happening on one side, you are also assured, hopefully, that those other undocumented ones, those other multiple layers, those other multiple taxes are also being eliminated from
But there is the fear as to how this would affect prices of certain services and commodities, because if these taxes are going to affect some of these businesses where they have to pay more, typical business owners want to get their money back. And at the end of the day, one of the best ways for them to do it, because in the country as it is, we're not producing that much. We are not creating that much. People still have to spend so much. Some of these businesses spend so much to run their businesses. And if these other taxes begin to come on them, let me even put an example with the business taxes. I know that for small businesses, there are some level of reliefs. It says small companies with an annual turnover of 50 million naira or less are exempted from companies' income tax. So it means those who are above are going to have to pay that. Essential items like food, education, healthcare services, and renewable energy products will enjoy a zero VAT rate. They will be exempted. Businesses can recover VAT payment on all purchases. But one area where people got talking a lot, aside the fact that the corporate taxes issues are there, is the individual personal income tax (PTF). That is something that a lot of individuals have been looking at, where it says individuals earning 800,000 naira or less annually generally will be exempted from personal income tax, which is an increase in the threshold. So for some people, is it just going to be the monies that I make, that I'm paid as my salary at work? Or is it going to be monies, an accumulation of how much comes into my account in a month? You've talked about how they want every account holder to have TIN, which I'm thinking might be one of the ways they want to monitor these things. What do you think of it?
Yes, so I'll quickly start from the big company thing that you spoke about. Yes, there are new taxes that are being that have been included, right, in those in the new law. But like I said earlier on, are all these things going to be implemented immediately? They have not said they will, but we do not know if they are going to. All these things will also be based, like I said, on the on the way the economy is at that point in time. You remember that when we began to have crisis in the price of foods with the rate of inflation and everything, the government took steps, importing foodstuff, removing taxes in one area, providing exemptions in some other areas, just in a bid to drive down the price of foodstuff. And I think the government will be responsible enough to look at the overall impact on the common Nigerian person. Now, when we look at the big businesses, let's look at the manufacturers, for example. I believe that there is somewhere in the tax law that provides some kind of relief or some kind of exemption. So, for example, locally manufactured goods will be exempted from withholding tax. So if you're exempting, so it also means that you are encouraging the local manufacture of goods rather than the importation of those things. So it helps us to be able to divert our attention into all those things and be able to look inwards, to look at how we can improve our local production. And that also has an impact on the value of the currency. So we need to look at it in a broad-based scenario, not just at the tax that is being put in place. Now, when we come to the second part of the question on the common Nigerian, now this is something that I've had to be tackling quite a number of times. And I think it's because of the perception that a lot of people have. And I believe that the authorities have also tried several times to address those things. I believe that the reason that fear has come in is because of the issue of everybody, of tax identification numbers becoming compulsory for everybody. The only reason why the government is doing that is, one, to be able to even trace people who are taxable. We have a large number of people who are running informal businesses and are not paying any tax.
All right, Mr. Oluwole, just hold that thought. Hold that thought there, please. Let's take a quick commercial, and we'll continue from here immediately after we return.
Nigeria Info.
All right, the conversation continues. Good morning. My name is Ifiemi Andrew. My guest is still very much with us. He is the National President, Association of Senior Staff of Banks, Insurance, and Institutions. Oluwole, line for us.
Thank you very much.
All right. So before we went on that break, we were discussing the personal taxes and what was provided for in the new reform, and possibly if that was why we're seeing the government look at the need for everyone for every account to have TIN. And the fact that people don't understand that particular part, which is a huge concern, where it says that individuals earning 800,000 naira or less annually are generally exempted. So if annually you are earning above 800,000 annually, it means you are going to be taxed. The big question is, in the eyes of the government, who is considered as low class or middle class earners, and what is the amount that they are looking at? Because, I mean, with the inflation in Nigeria's economy at the moment, someone earning even $1 million in a year, that's nothing. So you were trying to make a point as to why people shouldn't be concerned.
Yeah. So let me take it from where you have even taken it now. First, the exemption of tax is based on the minimum wage regime. So I think that one should be clear. So that's what that is centered around. But then it's also a graduated tax regime. So from that point, if you earn from this to this, this is the percentage that you pay. But there are also safety nets that are put in. For example, there are things that are already exempted, allowances made, for example, for rent and other things like that. And if you have people that you are responsible for. So that takes care of that side of it. Now, when we look at the general...
But Mr. Soji, sorry, before you go further, we will all agree that even the minimum wage was a problem, because that minimum wage isn't really solving nothing. It was almost a let's just manage this situation. Now, to come back and want to tax people who are earning above the minimum wage, so 70,000, it's nothing. That can't even do you anything in this country now. And so there's somebody who's earning, the government is then saying, if you are earning, say, 100,000, so which means annually you are talking about over $1 million. That's what you get. You are going to face this new personal income tax. And even 100,000 can't do much in the economy. Don't you think that's why people are itchy to see that other structures that the economy should have to make life more easy?
Previous tax regime, irrespective of what you earn. So, then 35. Now we are saying anybody earning X per annum is exempted. So let's look at both sides of it as well and be able to be guided. But then there's also the fear of people who are not earning, and that is that banks are